Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
हंसते होगे हो जो किछु आगर पिलो पदे नंद किशोर आर पिलो तुआ पदे नंद किशोर मनस देहोगे हो जो किछु आर पिलो तुआ पदे नंद किशोर संपदे विपदे जीवन मरणे संपदे विपदे जीवन मरणे दाय ममा गेला तुवा पद भरणे दाय ममा गेला तुवा पद भरणे मनस देहो देहो जो किछु आर पिलो तुवा पदे नंद किशोर मारो बीरा कभी जो इच्छा तोहार मारो बीरा कभी जो इच्छा तोहार नित्य दास प्रति तुवा अधिकार नित्य दास प्रति तुवा अधिकार मनस देहो देहो जो किछु आर पिलो तुआ पदे नंद किशोर जन्म भी मोर इच्छा यदि तो जन्म भी मोर इच्छा यदि तो भक्त गृहे जनि जन्म भक्त गृहे जनि जन्म मनस देहो देहो जो किछु आर पिलो तुवा पदे नंद किशोर कीट जन्म हो यथा तुवा दास कीट जन्म हो यथा तुवा दास बहिर्मुख ब्रह्म जन्मे नहीं आशा बहिर्मुख ब्रह्म जन्मे नहीं आशा मनस देहो देहो जो किछु आर पिलो तुआ पदे नंद किशोर मुक्ति मुक्ति स्पृहा विहीन जे भक्ता भुक्ति मुक्ति स्पृहा विहीन जे भक्ता लभैते तको संग अनुरक्ता लभैते तको संग अनुरक्ता मनस देहो देहो जो किछु आर पिलो तुआ पदे नंद किशोर जानता जाननी द्वैत तना तुहु सर्वमोह प्रभु गुरु पति तुहु सर्वमोह मानस देहो गेहो जो किछु मोह आर पिलो तुआ पदे नंद किशोर भक्ति विनोद कहे सुनो काना भक्ति विनोद कहे सुनो काना राधा नाथ तू हमारा राधा नाथ तू हमारा मानस देहो गेहो जो किछु मोह आर पिलो तुआ पदे नंद किशोर आर पिलो तुआ पदे नंद किशोर.
Thank you very much, Ishwar Krishna Prabhu, for playing a wonderful song. So we'll be reading from Jaiva Dharma. Before we read, we would like to offer our humble obeisances at the desk of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who has given us your wonderful instructions. And we beg his mercy. May those points may always stay within our heart. So sorry that I won't be able to recognize everyone because I just walked in and I don't want to miss anybody's name, but I'm deeply moved by your association and thank you very much for supporting and joining early in the morning despite so many other responsibilities. So I will repeat that question that Brajanath asked yesterday and the response, one paragraph we read. So we will repeat that because it will make a lot of sense. Kindly tell me more about the eternal nature of the Jiva. Raghunath Das Babaji. The Jiva is an infinitesimal spiritual entity endowed by his very nature with consciousness. Thus he has knowledge. He possesses self-identity, is an enjoyer, a thinker, and an intelligent being. The Jiva is the proprietor of an eternal identity that is extremely esoteric and subtle. The material human body is made up of limbs, ear, nose, etc. Similarly, the spiritual body of the Jiva is embellished with perfect spiritual features, and this is his eternal form. When the Jiva becomes conditions, two upadhis, false identities, cover his atomic eternal spiritual form. The first cover is his linga sarira, the subtle mental body, and the second covering his stula sarira, gross physical body. That's where we left yesterday. So we will continue. Unavoidable for the conditions Jiva is the upadhi of the ling sarira, which he acquires from the moment of his captivity by Maya, and which remains with him until he becomes liberated. At the time of death, the Jiva changes his old gross body for another one, but not his subtle body. The subtle body transports the Jiva with all his desire regarding material activity when he leaves one gross body for another at the time of death. The details and the principle of this change of this material body are described in the Chandogya Upanishad and the Brahma Sutra. It is known as Panchagni Vidya, the five fiery substances, which are Chitagni, Rutsyagni, Bhojanagni, and Reto Havanagni, etc. The nature and tendency of the conditioned jiva in his new life and body are decided by the desire and sanskaras of his previous life. He acquired his status and caste according to them. His actions in present life are prompted by his position within the system of Varnashrama. And after that, the subsequent rebirth into the new body, the same process is repeated. These are the two covering of the eternal spiritual identity of the jiva, the Sthul Sarira and the Linga Sarira. Vrajanath, what is the difference between the Nitya Sarira, eternal form of the jiva, and the Linga Sarira? Raghunath Das Babaji, the Nitya Sarira is fully spiritual and faultless and makes up the real identity of the jiva, his true self and ego. The Linga Sarira is acquired when the jiva contact matter. It consists of the three vitiated transformation of the spiritual energy, mana, mind, buddhi, intelligence, and ahankar, false ego. Vrajana, are mana, buddhi, and ahankar material substances? If so, then why are they merited with jnana, consciousness and knowledge, and kriya, action? Raghunath Das Babaji, the Bhagavad Gita 7:4-6 declares, Bhumir apo nalo vayu kam mano buddhir evacha ahankariti yammi bhinna prakrutir astadha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Apareyam itastva anyam prakrutim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho ye yedam dharyate jagat. Beside this, O mighty Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind, which is comprised the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Etad yonini bhutani sarvaniti upadhyaraya aham krutznasya jagatah prabhavah pralayastata. All creating beings have their source in these two natures of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. According to this quotation from the Gita Upanishad, Sarva Shaktiman Bhagavan possesses two distinct prakrutis, the Para Prakriti, the superior spiritual nature, and the Apara Prakriti, the inferior material nature. His Para Prakriti is the Jiva Shakti, and his Apara Prakriti is the Jada Shakti, which is also known as the Maya Shakti. The Jiva Shakti is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, hence it is known as the Parashakti, whereas the Maya Shakti is the external material energy, so she is called Aparashakti. The Jiva is distinct from the Aparashakti. The inferior Aparashakti comprise the 8 material elements, which are the 5 gross elements plus the 3 subtle elements. The 3 subtle elements are Man, Buddhi, and Ahankar. These 3 are the internal subtle elements comprising the Linga Sarira. Nevertheless, they are wholly material. Although these three exhibit some form of consciousness and knowledge, because of the presence of the jiva within them, it is not transcendental consciousness, but mundane, vitiated consciousness by the effect of the attachment of the jiva to the inferior Maya Sakti. The sensual impressions the mind receives from the material world are colored by the residual material concepts and ideas held within the Linga Sarira from the many previous lifetimes of the jiva. Thus, this coloring of the conditioned mind is materialistic and not transcendental. Mundane intelligence then analyzes this colored display of the information presented by the material mind to discern whether such information is acceptable or not. Then the faculty that in the final analysis accept or reject this analysis of the material knowledge is the mundane false ego. These three material elements, man, buddhi, and ahankar, energized by the presence of the jiva within them, amalgamate to produce a mundane second identity called the link sarira, which becomes so strong that it veils the actual eternal spiritual ego of the jiva. Since the jiva is eternally related to the transcendental Son, Sri Krishna, as his internal part and parcel, the jiva's original spiritual ego is similarly eternal. When the soul attains liberation, this original spiritual ego becomes uncovered and is overtly manifest. However, as long as the eternal spiritual ego of the jiva remains hidden by his link sarira, his identification with the material world will be the more pronounced and his spiritual ego non-assertive and practically absent. Being noumenal, the linga sarira of the jiva is covered by his sthula sarira, which execute the desired action of the bound jiva. The sthula sarira then becomes identified with its false temporary ego in the form of status, position, etc. within the social system of varnashrama. Man, buddhi, and ahankar are indeed material, but because they interpret perversely the Atma Vritti, inclination of the real self, the soul within, they falsely lay claim to being the source of consciousness, knowledge, and action. Vrajanath, respected master, I have now understood that the eternal form of the jiva is atomic, chit, and that his limbs, future and nature, are all sublime and beautiful. In the conditioned state of the jiva, the linga sarira veils this beautiful form. Thus, the gross material covering completely corrupt and perverts the original and actual identity of the jiva. Is the jiva in his mukta avastha, emancipated condition, completely flawless? Raghunath Das Babaji. Since he is the atomic part and parcel of Sri Krishna, the spiritual form of the jiva is certainly faultless, but incomplete because of the vulnerability of his extremely diminutive size. Thus, the only discernible weakness in his faultless condition is that in a close encounter with the powerful Maya Sakti, his spiritual nature can be eclipsed and concealed. The Srimad Bhagavatam 10 to 32 describes as follows. Ye yanye ravindaksa vimukta maninas tvaya asta bhavad avisuddha buddhayaha aruhya krucharena parampadam tataha patanti ado nadrat yusmat angrayaha. Or Lotus I 1. Those who think they are liberated in this life but do not render devotional service to you must be of impure intelligence. Although they accept severe austerity and penances and rise to the spiritual position to impersonal Brahman realization, they fall down again because they neglect to worship your lotus feet. Therefore, we see that however elevate a position a liberated soul may attain, his dependent constitution remains permanent. This is, in fact, the definition of the Jiva Tattva. Therefore, the Vedas reiterate that Bhagwan is the Lord of Maya and that the Jiva is in all situations susceptible to the subjugations of Maya, being the Tatastha Sakti. The end of the 15th chapter of the Jaiva Dharma, entitled Nitya Dharma, Shabandha, Abhideya and Prayojana, Part 3, the Jiva, eternal individual spirit soul. So we will embark on the chapter 16, Nitya Dharma, Sabandha, Abhideya and Prayojana, Part 4, the Jiva swallowed by Maya, the illusory energy. Vrajanatha returned home, pondering over the true nature of the Jiva, as he had just heard from the Dasmula. Lying in his bed at night, he considered, my question, who am I, has been answered, and I realize now that I am but a spark of a ray emanating from the transcendental Son, Sri Krishna. Although minute in size, I am inherently eternal, cognizant, and of the nature of a drop of unlimited transcendental bliss. Even though I am infinitesimal, I possess a spiritual identity, and my spiritual form closely resembles the spiritual form of Sri Krishna. As a consequence of my spiritual form being unmanifest, I am presently experiencing the misfortune of the material life. My good fortune will arise once I sincerely endeavor to reawaken my spiritual form and identity. I must understand why this pall of misfortune has come to hang over me and will clarify this matter with my Guru tomorrow. Sleep stealthily crept in around midnight, and in the hours before dawn, Brajanath dreamt of giving up material life and becoming a Vaishnava. After awakening, he lay contemplating the hope that perhaps the Lord would help him escape his material entanglement. He had just gone out and taken a seat in the courtyard upon the raised platform used for religious festivals when a group of his young students came and touched his feet, offering him the respect and addressing him as follows. We have learnt innumerable arguments of logic from you in the past. Now our desire is to be tutored on the famous book of logic, Nyaya Kushumanjali. Vrajanath replied unpretentiously, I have packed away all my books for good, and just like the illustrious Nimai Pandit, I'm determined to take a new path. You should approach another teacher. At the same time that the students were leaving, Sri Chaturbhuj Mishra came in to see Vrajanath's grandmother with a marriage proposal for Vrajanath. He explained to her, Sri Vijayanath Bhattacharya hails from aristocracy and his daughter is very beautiful. She would be an excellent match for your grandson. The Bhattacharya has not yet promised his daughter to anyone. Vrajanath may accept the proposal right away. Having overheard this conversation, Vrajanath thought, quote, what a dilemma. Here I am seriously considering leaving family and home, and this most inappropriate moment along comes a marriage proposal arranged by my grandmother. The question became a most contentious issue, driving his mother, grandmother, and the other elder ladies of the family to one side of the dispute. On the other side, Vrajanath found himself alone. The entire day became wasted in argument and counter-argument, and eventually the evening descended, almost unnoticed. However, soon rain clouds announced their presence with deep rumbling and bolts of lightning, which served to mute the loud discussion. A heavy downpour soon followed, and so it became impossible for Brajanath to go to Mayapur that day. Early next morning, the continuing contentions on the marriage issue again spoiled Vrajanath's mood and appetite. Not until after dark could Vrajanath leave his house. He then hurried to the little kutir of Raghunath Das Babaji and falling flat upon the ground offered prostrate obeisances. The revered Raghunath Das Babaji said, the rain must have kept you from coming last night. I'm very happy that you have come now. Vrajanath burst out saying, Dear Master, suddenly I have been faced with a serious problem, which I would like to explain later. For now, I request you to clarify a certain question. The Jiva is a pure spiritual substance. Why then does he have to descend into this degraded material world? A gentle smile appeared on Raghunath Das Babaji's lips, and he replied with the sixth sloka of the Dasmula. Saruparthair hinan nija suka param krishna vimukhan harer maya dandyan gunna nigada jalai kalayati tathastutir lingaidvi vidha varanahi kleshanikare madha karma laner nayati patitan swarga nirvayo. By his swarup, eternal constitution, the Jiva is the surrendered servitor of Sri Krishna and is meant to serve the Lord eternally. The conditioned soul who are alienated from their swarup are woven in the illusion of false pride and material enjoyment. They have rejected Sri Krishna, therefore. They are being penalized by the Maya Sakti, who binds them with three chains in the form of three material modes, namely Sattva, Raj, and Tama. Furthermore, she covers the Swarup of the Jiva with the subtle body and then the gross body, then imprisoning the jiva in the actual creating cycle of karmic reactions, which at times heaves him up to heaven or pushes him down to hell. In Goluka Vrindavan, oh, it's already the time has reached. Oh, sorry, I left the clock. So we will stop here and we will continue tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, Radhastami. So my plan is I will be joining on the call until maybe 5:20 a.m. After the meditation, then somebody is going to drive me to Dallas to attend His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj Vyas Puja. And then, no, but Friday evening, tomorrow is, yes, Radhastami. So Friday night, we have a program at the temple, some initiation ceremony, so I must attend. So I think earliest I can join tomorrow at 9 p.m. We will start chanting throughout the night. And then at 5:30 a.m., I will leave for Dallas. And my plan is that we will leave Dallas at 2 o'clock because I have to give a class at the home program tomorrow at 6 p.m. So hopefully the other who is riding with us will cooperate with the timing. We always depend on Krishna's grace. So, but looking forward to see you all tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning also I will have to do the dressing on Radhastami day. But we will have the regular morning program tomorrow. And then at 9 p.m. we will join again and we will chant throughout the night until 5:30, 5:20 I may have to leave. That's the program. And then, yeah, Saturday we will leave early and then have the evening program on Saturday. So Saturday morning I may not be here for reading or question and answer session. So I hope that you all can work out whichever you feel appropriate. So with those thoughts, sorry to take 2 more minutes, but with those thoughts, I would like to always remain happy, jubilant, and totally fearless. I was reading yesterday about the Harinam Chintamani, making the notes that if we even reach to the higher stage of Namabhasa stage, there should be no anxiety in our life, there should be no suffering, there should be no fear in our life, even if we reach the Namabhasa stage at the upper level. So glorious stage that we need to be. So we know that we are on the stage of right now Nama Aparad, because we are filled with fear, we are filled with suffering and anxieties. So it shows how far we have to go to cross over this nuisance of material existence. We need to remain so steadfast and determined and put all our energy toward perfecting our life. Thank you very much, Sumit Prabhu. I was going to text you that I have been missing you for last 3-4 days. Wonderful to see you back. So with those thoughts, I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the desk of these wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavi who always join, taking a lot of austerity. May holy name bless us all. From Houston, from India, New Jersey, Virginia, Boston, Boise, Atlanta, Austin, Alachua, College Station, Tempe, Phoenix, San Jose, Dallas, Detroit, Chicago, Naperville, Philadelphia, Charlotte, New Orleans, Baltimore, Portland, and from Dhaka and Orlando. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhaya vacha